So here we have a Specialized S-Works Tarmac SL5. I think it's a 2016 model, something like that. So it came in with some, it was in a crash. You can see the area marked on the down tube there, right on the O of S-Works. It was in a crash and then got run over by another rider. It was beyond repair in that damage. But looking at the lines of it, it's very flowing lines, very nice smooth shapes. It's a raw carbon finish. You can see bits and pieces. They do black out certain areas where they're masking joins and things like that. Overall, clean lines, simple graphics, sort of black on black, which always looks nice. Press fit bottom bracket, we had a whole bunch of problems with those. And on the non-drive side, you can see the model and the Fact 11R laminate that they use. So whatever that means, it's their proprietary blend of materials. So at least they don't put super duper high modulus T700 on it. And then moving back down the drive side chainstay, because I've cut the stay in half, so you can see I've put that there on the table as well, so we can have a look at that as a closer look. But that's how it sort of sits with the dropout. So it's sort of a one-piece molded seat stay, chainstay dropout junction. So quite clever. And then moving back up to the top tube, seat tube, and seat stay junction. Overall, quite a nice looking bike. That's what it looks like on the outside. This is what it looks like on the inside. So the first thing you notice is that it's actually very smooth. There's very little sign of any wrinkling or resin pooling or ridges or anything like that. But when I cut the bike open on the non-drive side, there was some shrink tape around the bottom bracket shell, which was left over from the manufacturing process. So that side's sort of a little bit messier than the drive side. Overall that area is pretty clean. But notice also the aluminium insert that's bonded in to the press fit shell. So with all the problems they had with the press fit, they ended up bonding an insert in. Talking about bonding, here it's the down tube to the bottom bracket junction. So could have used a little bit more adhesive in there. So apart from the void sort of to the right hand side, there's also not quite enough adhesive in the to fill that joint on the left hand side of the joint. So further down it's quite good, but up the top face there it's lacking somewhat of adhesive. Moving up the down tube, you can see the inserts there, and then that's where the failure was. It's fractured all the way through, as well as some delamination. But overall the tube's looking very clean. No wrinkles, no resin ridges. There is some very slight small areas of resin pooling, which will show a little bit, particularly down on the through the top tube junction there. So, and then moving down the long top tube, we can see there's some very small little voids on the side of the top tube. So this is actually pretty common. We tend to see this a lot through these and other brands as well, where there's small voids, and they're only typically, well, you can see the size of them, but they're sort of typically 3 mil across, thereabouts, and they show up on the ultrasound scan quite readily, but you wouldn't know they're there otherwise. But they do reduce the structural properties of the tube. So for example, like if it gets knocked, it's got reduced strength there, so you're more likely to see a failure of the tube associated with those small voids. And you can also see just sort of little bits where the bag is left as very fine sort of resin lines, but that's very, very minor. So with the seat clamp, so it's an internal seat clamp, sort of like a wedge type system. So the thing to note is how thick the laminate is there, which is required for the seat clamp, but then how it transitions to the top tube, and it's quite thin. And I have seen cracks appear sort of right at that top and bottom face, sort of at the edge of the bond, just due to that sort of transition of going from very thick laminate to thin laminate. Here you can see that's on the non-drive side, so you access the seat clamp through that little hole there. So which is quite a neat system. Sort of it's out of the way. It's aero for if that's important to you, but it's sort of quite a clean look as well. So overall that seems to be working okay. So moving over to the non-drive side, you can see where the brake cable exit port is, and instead of using a typical sort of expanding a riv nut or something, they've got this threaded insert which is just threaded straight into the thick laminate there, which is a little bit unusual, but I haven't reported any problems with that or seen any issues with that. So but it is different to the way most of them are done. Also see the thick laminate reinforcement through where that hole is, so that's a good design to reinforce that area. So down the seat tube, again very clean, nothing really to see there except down at the join, and it gets a little bit messy. The rivets that they're using for the front derailleur hanger are sort of nice large footed rivets, which are good. There's a little bit of resin pooling going on, and also some corrosion around those aluminium riv nuts for the water bottle mounts, the bidon mounts. So there's also the sort of lighter yellowy greeny sort of colour. That's there's obviously some glass fibre in there which is holding the resin. So overall it's just a little bit of resin rich through there, and you can see the transition from the moulding system. Back down into the bottom bracket, you can see right there that sort of that line. So there's obviously a transition of the moulding system which has sort of led to some resin ridge, but then overall I think the area is actually pretty clean and not too bad. So there is a join, you can see there, sort of about 100 odd millimeters from the dropout, where the chainstay is joined to the dropout. And then looking at the dropout, you can see this sort of little bridging void sort of right in that upper radius there. So looking at the thickness of the laminate, it's like there's a join there and sort of an overlap, a splice or something like that, and which has probably led to the creation of those voids. Now there is also some damage just on the front, the forward edge of the dropout there. So often that area is really resin rich and can get damaged quite easily. So I'd say that's what's happened there. Over on the non-drive side, you can see the same sort of void and the same sort of thickness of the laminate. The change going on. Also, a little bit of wrinkling and stuff going on in there, but overall, again, that's pretty minor. But I suppose it's indicating a process thing, because you've got the same void happening in the same area on both the drive side and the non-drive side. And then if we move up the seat stay, again, that looks really clean. There's a join there right at where the brake bridge is, and we can see right where that sort of moulded brake bridge is, there's sort of a depression which goes into the brake bridge, but there's a little bit of a wrinkling and a bit of stuff going on there. The fibre sort of moved around during the cure, but with such a small cross section, it's quite a difficult area to mould. So not really surprising that you've got those little things, but plenty of adhesive in that joint, and overall looking pretty good. So and then back up to the seat junction, and that's a round trip of an S-Works Tarmac SL5. So that's the Tarmac S-Works Tarmac SL5. So overall, as you could see, it was much cleaner than some of the other bikes that I've shown. So it really highlights how the manufacturing processes have improved over recent times, and we're not seeing as much wrinkling and fibre distortion and resin pooling and all that sort of stuff that we have seen in the past. So the processes are definitely improving. There are still a few little issues with this bike, as you saw in the down tube junction on the bond, where there was a little bit less adhesive than what I'd like to see, and also the void there, and also in the top tube, those voids, and also in the dropout, so little voids there. So so even though the bike is great, like it's much better than some of the others, there can still be little problems, and so having the ability to scan with ultrasound and identify those things is definitely an advantage. So in the past, when I have found flaws like similar to the voids, the adhesive voids in the down tube junction there, and referred them to Specialized, they've sort of flatly refused to admit that there's a problem, and but clearly you can see that there is a void there. So anyway, that's just the way they handle it. Overall, it's a great bike with a couple of minor problems. Whether they present themselves down the track, it's hard to say. The biggest concern would probably be the void in the down tube, and we have seen crack indications pop up there, and also at the junction up here, at the C-tube junction. So we have seen crack indications occur there where there's been a void in those cases. So so this is it's been their flagship. They've got the SL6 out now. I haven't cut one of those up as yet, but they're reportedly lighter and better made. So it'd be interesting to see one of those. I'll let you know as soon as one comes across my path. On that note, I rate it as a great bike, and with a couple of little improvements, and overall, not bad. So if you haven't already, have a vote on on what bike next to do. So there's a couple of clear favourites at the moment. So put your vote down on that, and we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks, bye.